Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 Community meeting. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be your host today. And please don't forget that the meeting is recorded. As always, let's start with the introduction. So if you are new to the meeting, then please introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. I think I haven't been in this one before. I'm Jakob Schrettenbrunner, working for Deutsche Telekom, same as Chai, and we're using Metal3. So from time to time, we try to contribute some stuff back. And I've joined today because I'm working on the cluster API IPAM contract and the implementation of that for Metal3.
Welcome, Jakob, and thanks for your contribution. We will shortly get to your agenda point. I think you are the only new participant, so we can continue. There is one agenda point from me. I want to even open it up. It's this leftover from Arvindel for this handling of these failure domains. I actually open it up. It's still the issue is not approved. So if someone has some time and approval rights, please check this one. This is here for a long time. I added you, Feruz. I think you are approver in the Metal3 groups. Maybe you can check it, but only if you have time.
Yeah, I think I can do it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, thanks.
PR.
Yeah, thank you. Just because like Arvinder is waiting for this for a long time. Okay, and then the new agenda point. So from Jakob, please.
Yes, maybe you can open the issue because there's one small thing to discuss there. So I'm not sure. I'll probably do a very brief summary of the KPI IPAM contract first. So the very, very short version is it's very similar to the IP address manager that you guys have implemented and was heavily inspired by that. And it also follows the same concept like with persistent volume claims or the IP claims and IP addresses. The main difference is that there can be multiple different kinds of pools. So the idea is that depending on how you want a pool to behave or to be implemented, it's just a different kind and there are different IP address, different IPAM providers in the future. And each of the providers brings their own kind or their own resource. So for example, the first one that I've created is an in-cluster IP pool kind, which is the same as your IP address manager, but just a different implementation, a little bit simpler. And in the future, we also want to build other providers, for example, an Infoblox one, so that there would then be an Infoblox IP pool resource with the required parameters for Infoblox. So the main thing needed in order to implement this or to add support for it in Metal3 is a way to reference pools. I first thought it was going to be very easy because I only looked at the metadata part of the data template. And then I remembered that I've looked at it before and that it wasn't that easy. So basically, wherever you can currently reference one of or like a regular IP pool from the IP address manager, we would need to add a new field that allows to do generic references to pools. So the IP address from IP pool field is just a string type. So you can only add the name of the pool, or at least that's how it works currently. Of course, there's the option to do like special syntax, like kind/name or something like that. But that's not that great in my opinion. So my proposal would be to add just a new field, for example, called from pool, or ideally from pool ref or something like that, which just allows to specify a core v1 typed object, typed local object reference, which is basically group, kind, and name, as in the example in the upper section. So yeah, you provide a name, an API group, and a kind. And then based on the API group and kind, we can switch between copy implementation and Metal3 implementation. So the new field would also, same as the old one, which still would still exist. We can't really remove it without breaking the API. But the new field would also support IP address manager, and you can just use it by specifying the API group and kind to be the IP address manager IP pool, or even just omitting it. That would be also the default. I would choose to just, if API group and kind are empty, to just default to the Metal3 IP address manager for backwards compatibility. Yeah, so that would be the first thing, some feedback on that, or rather to ask whether there are any objections to just add a new field that allows referencing pools. And then I would also implement a validation to make sure that either IP address from IP pool or the new from pool field is set. And then the IP address from IP pool field would become optional. Not sure how exactly it behaves right now, but that was the idea.
And then as part of that, you have implemented this one also, right?
Yeah, that's I wanted to get to that as well. So that's I've looked at the implementation and I found it quite confusing, or not really confusing, but repetitive. So this, and I wanted to split it up into multiple PRs, so it isn't as much to review in one go. So this isn't really about the IPAM contract yet. This just simplifies the current logic of allocating IP addresses from pools. So it basically combines allocation and release into, or it combines figuring out from which pools IP addresses need to be allocated and released on deletion into one function, to just make that logic a little bit simpler. Because right now basically the allocation function goes through the entire structure and looks for pool references, and then the deletion function also goes through the entire thing looking for references. So I've just extracted that logic into a separate function that just returns a list of pools which are referenced by a template, and then both allocation and release use that unified function. So any change to the logic, it does look quite big, because a lot of redundant stuff gets removed. But the main thing is that new function. I think it's further down. Yeah, you can't really see it, unfortunately, because of git diffs. It's maybe a little bit more visible if you do split view.
1 second. Let's see. Let's just.
Or yeah, that's best. It's way down, I think, almost at the end.
Is there some
there it is. This stop. I think this is it already. So if you go up a little bit, yeah, that get reference pools. So that's the new function, and it returns a map of addresses with their name as the key, with the pool name as the key, and then with the core v1 type local object reference that just contains the pool name. And that's in preparation for the IPAM, for the CAPI IPAM implementation, that it's using a type local object reference here. And then if CAPI IPAM would be supported, then group, API group, and kind would also be populated. But if it's empty, then the future code that I haven't written yet would assume that it's the old IP address manager implementation or the Metal3 specific IP address manager implementation. If you go up a little bit, I think there's the two other methods, which is release address from pool and get addresses from pool. Stop, too far already. Right at the bottom, there is get addresses. And that one now just uses that get referenced pools function to get a list of pool references. And then it just loops over those references and just calls the previous get address from pool, which I have renamed to get address from M3 pool, to create a claim and get the address. And it requeues like before. It's just not as many repetitive code blocks and not as much duplicated code, because the same logic to get those referenced pools was also present in release addresses from pool. So if you want to, or I mean, it probably doesn't change that often, but in case anything would change, then you would need to adapt the logic in both places. And also for the new field to support the KPI IPAM contract, I would also need to change the logic in both places. So when releasing and when allocating. So that's why I thought it would be better to unify it into one function and remove a little bit of code duplication. Also makes it a little bit simpler, I think.
Okay, well, that's quite a big change, and I'm not really a subject matter expert on this. But I think we already like agreed in the community that this is fine, and we would need to confirm our stuff with the copy ways of doing things. So, but I think Ferus can also chime in.
Yeah. Hi, Jakob. Thanks a lot for your work. I had a first question regarding the first item that you had regarding the contract, like adding the new field. I to be honest, I was not following how it goes with the CAPI IPAM implementation. But does it mean that was there already agreement in the CAPI that all the providers were interested in using the CAPI IPAM, or those who have in their own IPAM implementation will need to follow the same structure, like the same fields in their IPAM implementation that would probably allow them either to opt in or opt out from their own IPAM and instead use, for example, the CAPI IPAM? Is it standardized, or is it just our Metal3 IPAM that we need to do?
I think you are the only ones that have their own IPAM implementation right now. So
Okay.
the problem with CAPI is most providers are geared towards cloud infrastructure, and there you don't need it because you just have software-defined networking and you get IP address management out of the box. The other one that's very interested in it is CAPV, so the vSphere provider, because they have a similar problem. And they did voice a lot of interest into the CAPI IPAM contract, and they want to support it. But apart from that, not that much. I think there's not that many additional providers that have enough traction right now, at least, and to which this thing is applicable. So, for example, there's Tinkerbell, but I'm not sure if they are interested in it. Maybe they are. And apart from that, I'm not sure if there's any more or any additional providers that are geared towards custom infrastructure without pre-existing IP address management. So far, I only know of CAPV and Metal3 being interested. Someone from the Metal3 project voiced interest in the past. Let me see if I can find him. Yes, Furkat Gofurov said he was interested.
He's from our team.
Yeah, I noticed. I noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I offered to implement it for Metal3 because we are using Metal3, and right now we have our own hacked version of the IP address manager that's using info-blocks, and we would like to replace it with like a generic implementation because we're also using CatB, and for that we also have a custom hacked IP address management thing that just reconciles their machine templates because there is no real, or no, it reconciles their machine objects because there's no real way to hook into machine creation there. So yeah, but from the way it works is identical to the Metal3 IP address manager, more or less, just standardized in quotation marks for all of the providers. So the idea is to have like a pluggable API that providers can choose to integrate with. So infrastructure providers can choose to integrate with it, and then they get all of the IPAM providers that are implemented or will be implemented in the future.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like for me, to be honest, the way that you're trying to allow either like using IPAM from Metal3 or the CatB, like this change is okay because I would be concerned about like the current deployments, like the breaking changes, the backwards compatibility. But as you say, and I'm just reading, it's not really going to break anything. It's just going to be like new feature. If someone is interested, like just use it. If not, well, just current behavior.
Yeah.
So I personally have no issues on that, but we don't have too many like the maintainers of this repository. But I'll try to just leave my notes and thoughts on that. And in general, basically, I'm +1 for the idea, to be honest. And for the PR, I can try to review maybe like during this week. Just give my review on that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, sorry, I will CC you, Ferus here, and Furkat.
Yes. Yeah, and Kashif as well, if you can add him.
Sure.
I think you can do them all in one line, by the way.
Yeah, true.
And maybe as a heads up, I also had, with the current implementation, one thing the implementation is doing right now is that whenever it fails, it manually requeues reconciliation after 30 seconds. Not sure why that approach was chosen and why there is no watches on IP claims.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter too much. I just wanted to do maybe a small optimization in that regard. My idea was to split up allocation of IP addresses. So that was the second step I was working on, to split it up into some methods that ensure that an IP claim exists, and then some very, very basic logic to determine if a IP claim was created or if there's any reason to wait for a bit. Then after ensuring that all the IP claims exist, and if something was changed, then maybe just during the reconciliation, wait for a few hundred milliseconds, so like 200 or something, so the IP address provider can catch up. And I guess usually it should be pretty quick. And then after those, or that short wait period, only then look if the IP address claims were fulfilled and whether IP addresses exist, to avoid postponing reconciliation for 30 seconds just for IP address allocation, because it usually should go quicker, I guess, at least for in-cluster things. I'm not too sure about info-blocks. That could take a little bit longer, depending on the speed of the API.
Yeah, I saw your question on Slack, but to be honest, I have no idea why it was chosen like the hard coded like 30 seconds for that. Probably I could check with Smile because Smile was the one who implemented most of the things, but he moved to another team. But if we add the watches, I I think it makes sense rather than just waiting for some hard coded value. And to be honest, if I don't think there's like really concrete reason. Maybe at the time it was just about matter of just putting the IPAM in place and then trying to optimize it later on, and then it was just a legacy code that left over like there.
Yeah, fair. I was just curious, so I'm also happy to look into changing that.
Yeah,
but just so it's a little bit more efficient, or not efficient, but just quicker in general. Because 30 seconds for no real reason.
If you have like the bandwidth, please feel free to submit a patch, and we'll do our best to review and then get it merged eventually.
Right, sounds good.
Yeah, I think your two main contact persons will be Furkat and Kashif for this moving forward.
Yeah, because I'll be shifting to another project, so I'll just review your PR this week, but from the next week I will.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone who is not a prover but reviewer and interested, please take a look. We have quite a few people, so just for you to know who to ping, because even in this like 6 months, we had quite a lot of change with personnel, and it hasn't been really updated. So from approvers, you will have only Furkat and Kashif. Anwar and Feroz goes away. Anwar is already unavailable. And from reviewers, you will have Moshir and Mohammed. And I'm sure that Nam won't be available. And then I don't know about this person. So 2 reviewers, 2 approvers. That's, I think, all that we have at the moment for this.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that might move a bit slower, even compared to our usual speed right now.
I've noticed it's okay. I think we also have another one, just maybe to bring a little bit of attention to that, because a colleague asked me to do so. I think we have another one on the bare metal operator by Christopher, if I can find it. That's been idling. But yeah, not sure. Maybe we can also investigate and try to find some time to maybe help with reviews. But I'm not too optimistic with that, because we're usually pretty swamped.
Yeah, we can look at that if you put it into the doc.
I have put it into chat. Wait, I can also paste the document and the doc. Oh, come on. I actually don't really know what that one is about.
Okay. Okay, so PMO, I think in today's meeting, let me just quickly check. There is no BMO approver or anyone who will stay as BMO approver. But
Oh, is there a separate meeting for?
no. They are just not here at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to mention it because you asked me to.
Yeah. I see. Yes, I see what's up, but yeah, I think it's Dimitri who actually reviewed it already. He has to get back to your colleague.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask or
Not from my side. No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add on to that previous merge request item, this is something that even like we are interested in, and like you mentioned, it's been waiting for a file, so it would be great to get that approved this week.
You mean
regarding the failure domains.
failure domains? Yeah. Failure domain is already almost accepted, but I think the Feruz, you said you will check it, so we will check it soon. Yeah, this one. This is all these things usually that are already existing in like other providers, already supported by Ionic, or so things that are should be supported because either other providers or our dependencies are supporting it. That should be all usually accepted. It's just question of that. Do we have like the approvers available or not? Now we have a bit of hard time with that. A lot of people left to other projects, so we try to keep up with it. Yeah. So sorry for these.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you really for all of these contributions, and I think that these will soon start to get moving, both failure domain and this EPAM related features. Is there anything other than these suggestions, problems, improvements, requests that you would like to see, or you would like to suggest to us something to do differently related to the meeting or the community? I'm asking it from everybody. Okay, if not, then thank you for your time, and we will meet next day. Next day we will do triaging also, so feel free to join. And then thank you for your time and attention, and see you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.